I'm Kevin Gale, voice of the Crusaders, and this is Sader Stories, the official podcast of Holy Cross Athletics, presented by UMass Memorial Health. Today, we continue our Crusader coaching profiles with the new head coach of softball at Holy Cross, John Ladino. Coach Ladino joins Holy Cross after 3 years head coaching Johnson & Wales University in Providence, Rhode Island, where his .682 winning percentage is the best in program history. Ladino is back in Worcester, where he previously served as head coach at both Becker College and Assumption University. Coach Ladino, welcome back. It's great to have you at Holy Cross, and thanks for joining us on Sader Stories.
Thank you very much for having me. Very much looking forward to this. Been following the podcast and kind of learning some stuff about Holy Cross and some other coaches. So it's been really great to listen to that, and happy to be here.
I'm glad this is like a Cliff's Notes version of what you need to know at Holy Cross. So in this time, in this place, what makes Holy Cross the right college and softball program for you?
Yeah, I think the best aspect of Holy Cross is that it really does combine high level academics and high level students who want to be here and be high achieving students with high level athletics. And for me, as a coach who very much values the student athlete and the student athlete experience, to be able to coach at a level like this, from a softball side, it's Division One. It's a really, it's a fast game. You're coaching against some of the best coaches that the sport has ever seen. But then also to know that the academic pursuit of our students is like none other. And they have such a tremendous opportunity from the the academic side to really become who they want to be and kind of pave their path for their future, all while being able to be challenged athletically. I think that's the dream for any coach, to know that what you're recruiting to, you're not just recruiting to a high level softball program, but also to a high level academic program that can transform lives.
There are so many new aspects of this job for you, new place, new team, but you're settling back into life here in Worcester. How much more comfortable does that make you knowing the setting?
Yeah, Worcester has kind of been my second home. I grew up in a small town in Dartmouth, Mass. And somehow found my way out to Worcester after college, and have kind of never really left. So I think what's really great is for my family, to be honest. I think, we had a house in Worcester. As you said, I was coming from Johnson and Wales, so I was commuting to Providence every day. But to kind of be situated on that sense, and to know that this decision certainly impacted my family, but didn't uproot my family. And we have a little one at home. He'll turn 2 in January, and he was actually the Central Mass firstborn 2 years ago. So he was
Really?
more famous than I have ever been in my whole life in his first second of life. So we didn't want to take him out of Worcester. This is where his celebrity is. So but I think to know that he has his daycare set up, and he has his teachers and the people that know him, and it just really worked. And I think, my wife and I, we've learned Worcester. We've gone out in Worcester. We know the restaurants we like to go to, and we know where things are. And I think that piece has helped this transition with the new that is coaching and recruiting and timelines and recruiting calendars and things like that. To have the personal side not kind of shift has really helped the professional side allow me to be able to invest a little bit more time in it. But I have a great support system at home. My family is very understanding of what I do and how I like to do it. And without them, I wouldn't be here. So I think it was really the right time and the right fit.
Those local connections must have been so valuable when you first connected with our athletic director, Kit Hughes. What kind of vision did you share with him and the college about what you see for the future of Holy Cross softball?
Yeah, again, to go back to the first question, I think the first thing is, I was very transparent in I'm not just here to win softball games. I want to be here to create the best student athlete experience I can for each individual student athlete. And that's a very individualized thing depending on, what they need from me as a coach, what their academic pursuit is, what their life pursuit is. And the idea of utilizing softball as an experience and as a vehicle, right, for them to be able to grow and learn from that, to set them up for their future. That's how I see this role in this job. I think Kit was very transparent, and that was a big goal. We want our student athletes to feel supported. We want our student athletes to be challenged, but ultimately we want them to know this is the right place, and that we care about them, we support them, we want what's best for them. We're going to push them, but we're going to help them achieve those goals. So I think that piece was really important and really aligned. Um, you know, what I would say to someone, I mean, you can talk about goals and visions and things like that, and I'm sure we can and we will. I think ultimately we need to match our softball program with the prestige of the institution, right? The
Mhm.
institution has got a prestige, it's got an aura, it's got a lot of success behind it, and I think right now our program's a little bit behind, right? The success of the institution, and our one is to align our program with the success that this institution brings to its students, so that way it's not just, hey, we know Holy Cross as an academic fit. We think we want to play softball. It's we know Holy Cross as an academic fit and a really strong softball program, and that's why it's the right fit for me as a recruit. So I think ultimately that's the end goal, is to really align both of them, to say that they're on equal playing field of success.
That's a great vision for the future. And I've got to know, how did you first hear the big news, and how did it feel to learn that for the first time you've got a D1 head coaching opportunity? That's a huge step.
Yeah, very surprising, to be honest. I kind of went into this process, and there's some personal people in my life who were like, "Hey, you should look at this. You should apply. Why not?" So putting in the application, to be honest, I loved my time at Johnson and Wales. I was not looking to leave Johnson and Wales. The blend of being a assistant athletic director and a head coach was a really special opportunity for me. Um, but it was kind of one of those things where you apply and you say, hey, let's just see what happens. And then there was the initial phone call, and you're like, oh, well, that was cool. Like, I got a phone interview, like, and then another phone interview, and you're like, oh, that was even cooler. I got another one. And then it was an on campus, and it was like, oh, this could really be a thing. And now your mindset kind of shifts from, what's cool about it to what actually could be. The funny story, and you'd have to ask Kid about this, but when he called for the offer, I actually didn't take the phone call at that time. I was home with my son by myself, and it was bedtime, and I was rocking him. So it was about a half hour or so where the voicemail was left, and supposedly he was sitting in his office waiting for the phone call back. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but it was kind of one of those things where you just got through bedtime and he's sleeping, and I turned my phone on, and there's a voicemail from Kit Hughes saying, "Hey, give me a call back." So that could have either been really good news or really bad news, but um, surreal, I would say. I think listen, it was very special. It was a phone call, and this immediately called my wife, who wasn't home, and said, we got to talk right away and step away from what you're doing. And but just special. And Holy Cross is something that's been in my family. My brother graduated from Holy Cross. He's about 6 years older than I am. So I've always kind of seen the institution, the outside looking in. Like you said, I had time at Assumption as a head coach. I was the assistant at Becker College for Dick Hurley, who was a head coach there. So I've been in Worcester. I've seen Holy Cross from afar. But I think to get that phone call to say, "Hey, you are the one," um, it was a lot of celebration, right? And then it was kind of like, all right, we got to get to work, right? There's a lot of stuff we got to get to work now, but certainly celebration, awe, and excitement. And that excitement has remained. It has not gone away just because we've been here. There's still a great amount of excitement of what this can be, and what I'm hoping it will be.
It all fell into place just the way it was meant to. Let's take a short break. When we get back, we'll talk with Coach Ladino about his path to Holy Cross right here on Sater Stories.
We are UMass Memorial Health, and innovation is something that defines us, that drives us to discover new ways to provide answers and hope, to provide opportunity and access and equity for everyone, to redefine what medicine can do and how it can heal relentlessly.
Yeah.
Glad we got Jersey Mike's for the game.
Wait, does our mascot look like Danny DeVito to you?
Yeah, it does. That doesn't matter. This is a commercial for Jersey Mike's, where the subs matter most. Freshly sliced right in front of you. That's what they're all about.
You on the cheer squad?
And up see Daisy. Yeah!
Ooh.
Oh, don't worry about me. Focus on those subs. Where the subs matter most. It's a Jersey Mike's thing. A sub above.
It's time for the Holy Cross Athletics holiday sale. Get your last-minute gifts now with single game tickets to Crusader home games, flex vouchers, and kids club memberships, all for 50% off through the end of Christmas Eve. Take advantage of the holiday sale at goholycross.com/tickets. Welcome back to Sader Stories, presented by UMass Memorial Health. I'm Kevin Gale, joined by the new softball coach here at Holy Cross, John Ladino. Coach, growing up in Dartmouth, Mass., how did you first find a love for sports?
Honestly, at home, I'm the youngest of three. As I said, I have an older brother, and then my sisters in between us. And we were a sport family. We were backyard. We were, baseball in the backyard, basketball in the driveway. Kind of all the way through. Big Boston fans. Red Sox, Celtics, Patriots, Bruins. Guilty as charged over here. So, for us, I think it's always been a part of our family. My sister, in her own right, was a very accomplished college athlete. She went to Stonehill, was a field hockey and lacrosse player, and is an All-American, is in the Hall of Fame at Stonehill. So, college athletics, being around athletics has always been something that I think the family's been a part of. Really, my dad more than my mom. My mom was more about just getting us to where we needed to go versus playing against us. But athletics has always been a part of our family and something that we bond over for sure.
You had a lot of experience working in college athletics, coaching, playing sports yourself. How did you first get involved with softball specifically, and how did that sport really resonate with you?
Yeah, so while I was studying for my master's degree, I was getting my master's at Salem State, but I was living and working at Babson College up in Wellesley, and I had to do an externship. And athletics has always been a part of what I wanted to do. My master's program is in higher ed, so I knew I wanted to impact students and college students specifically. But even going through my master's program, I didn't know how. I thought I was going to be a residence lifer and work in dorms and residence halls my whole life. That quickly changed once they lived it. But for me, I always knew I wanted to work with college students. And, it was the externship where I knew the athletic director at Babson, who was Josh MacArthur at the time. And he was like, "Hey, how would you like to do some work with some sports information work, but then also how'd you like to do some work with a couple of our programs, and more specifically our women's volleyball program and our softball program?" And there were two coaches there, Eric Neely and Dave Kanan, who were very kind to me and willing to allow me to come on their staff. To this day, I can't tell you a thing about women's volleyball. I was really just there to help. But softball, Dave, my background of baseball, playing some club ball, playing ball through Legion and that piece, he was kind enough to say, "Hey, John, go work with our outfielders." And he allowed me some opportunity to do some stuff on my own. And after watching the game, being a part of the game, I was one of those, softball is baseball, but it's not. It is a completely different sport. It's faster, it's quicker. There's a lot more, strategy involved with first and thirds and things like that. And I just fell in love with the game. And my goal and vision quickly shifted from, I don't know how I want to work with college students, to I want to coach softball. I just don't know how I'm going to get there. And so I was coaching travel ball. I was volunteering, anything I could do to stay on a college, on a college coaching staff. And I think I've worked in every department in a college campus, residence life, student affairs, conduct, housing, whatever it might have been, all so I could continue to coach until I was lucky enough to get that head job at Assumption. But I've had some really great people in my life who have said yes to me. Like I said, Dave Kanan, Dick Hurley from Becker College, who did not need to say yes to a 24-year-old male looking to volunteer as an assistant for his program. But a lot of kind people who have said yes to me, who I would not be sitting in this chair if they were not a part of my life. So, yeah, we talked about timing of the offer. This whole process has kind of been timing and just people who have been willing to help me.
All that real world experience paid off You also earned a pair of degrees from Merrimack and Salem State. And then Becker College brings you to Worcester. You had great success there, won the 2016 NECC championship. That was a first in program history. Then you made the move to Regis. You were all over Massachusetts. What do you say were the most valuable experiences from those first D3 head coaching opportunities?
Yeah, I think so. Again, I think first and foremost, the opportunity to learn from coaches who have been doing it for a while. Dick Hurley, I consider to be a very close mentor of mine. Nikki Pantiaco, who was at Regis when I was there, she was the head coach for both the field hockey and the softball program. Really accomplished pitcher. Was kind of my first intro to understanding, pitching from a playing perspective. So I think a lot of opportunity to learn and grow as a coach in the sense of different styles, right? Different coaching styles and how to, build relationships with your student athletes and how different people do it differently and that there really isn't one right way to do it. I think that was really the first piece. I think the second piece was the advantage of understanding a little bit more the life of a college athlete, both from a coaching perspective and then from a staff perspective, working on different staffs, doing different things, working at Regis. I was an academic coach at Regis, so I worked with athletes in a lot of different programs with, soft skill development work. That has really helped me as a head coach, having intentional conversations with our student athletes about, what's going on in class. How are they managing their time? How are they dealing with their stress? I think that piece. And I think our athletes, and it's not good, it's not bad. I think our athletes, I think they need support, but they need support not just on the field. I think they need support everywhere. And I really see the role as a coach. You're that first point of contact, right? You're that first person from an institution who's contacting this student athlete and her family about how much you care about them and how much you want to see them grow and how much you want them to join your program. You can't just let them go when they get here and say, hey, it's all about softball now. So I think that piece and getting those experiences, I think, has really helped with the kind of overall aspect of being a coach, the overall support I see as being a coach. In addition to learning the sport, I had to do a lot of learning of the sport because I didn't play it. So there's been a lot of learning and growing that I've been able to do, but I think those experiences have really helped transform me as a coach. I think they've helped me transform me as a person. And that, it's not a matter of this is how we do it and don't ask questions, more of, hey, I want your questions because I want to know where you're at so I can meet you where you're at so I can be the most effective I can be.
I love your holistic approach to developing student athletes, and it appears from your postseason success that it has really paid off. All 4 years at Assumption, then most recently at Johnson and Wales, a first ever GNAC title, and a trip to the NCAA tournament. How can you build off that success and reestablish a winning tradition here with Holy Cross softball using some of those tenets that you've carried across all these colleges?
Yeah, well, first of all, I've been very lucky with the staffs I've had. I've had some really quality assistant coaches who have been a part of staffs who have not just helped me recruit, but have also helped me develop, again, have their own individualized relationships with student athletes to help them feel even more supported. So I don't think you can have any success on your own. I've had some great administrative staffs. Dana Garfield at Johnson and Wales, was a tremendous resource. Christine Lauthert, who was at Assumption for most of the time I was there. Nick Smith, who's the associate here, hired me at Assumption and then ended up leaving, but I won't take that personally. But some really great supportive staff. So I think the success piece is it's not just about one person. I think it's about the whole. What I will say is I've been very process oriented when it comes to building relationships and building success. The goal is the goal is to make postseason. The goal is to win a championship. You don't win a championship until you make the postseason. You don't make the postseason until you win enough conference games. You don't win enough conference games if you don't prepare. So I think that for us, it's very process focused. I think that's something here we're really working on in kind of shifting our mindset. It's not about getting a hit. It's about everything that leads up to putting yourself in a position to be successful and focusing on those things. So I think for me, it's the process piece and wanting that to be a core of our program and what we teach and what we coach is we want to be everything is process focused, because your process is going to lead to your outcome. So if we focus on that process, then and we do that right, then we should be accomplishing those end goals. But again, I can't echo enough. It's not just about me. I've had some, and I should be remiss not to say this. I've had some tremendous student athletes who have fully bought in, who have approached it as the program is more important than themselves, and it takes student athlete buy-in, student athlete work ethic, student athlete attitude and competitiveness, really great coaching staffs, really great supportive administrative staffs. That's how you build success. And I think from here, being here, I think those pieces are in place for us to be able to kind of slowly and methodically, but intentionally, build this program into what we want it to be.
Let's take one last break. When we return, we'll look ahead to the 2025 Holy Cross softball season with John Ladino right here on Sader Stories.
Leadership and excellence in competition, in the classroom, in the community. For decades, Crusader Athletics has focused on our topmost commitment, elevating every student athlete to reach for more, to grow more, to achieve more. Help us to continue to strengthen minds, build character, and celebrate together as one Crusader nation. Because when we commit together, we win together. Join us, Crusaders together.
Many financial advisors are commission-based advisors that work for a bank. At Car Financial, we work for you. Our primary focus is helping our clients achieve their goals. You worked hard in your career. You've earned your retirement. Now let us show you how to make the most out of what you have. We're here to answer your investment, retirement, income tax, and estate planning questions. Through every stage of life, we're here for you. Call us at Car Financial Group today.
Are you in the giving spirit this holiday season? Well, make a gift today to the Crusader Athletic Fund. Your gift will help current and future student athletes sustain comprehensive excellence in and out of competition. Give now at goholycross.com/CAF. Welcome back to Sader Stories, presented by UMass Memorial Health. I'm Kevin Gale, voice of the Crusaders, joined by new Holy Cross softball head coach, John Ladino. Coach, following up on our Crusader Athletic Fund announcement, how important is that alumni support for your softball program here at Holy Cross?
It's tremendous. It's tremendously important for our student athletes. What I've been really inspired by is in the very short time I've been here, we've had some pretty robust and some good communication with our alum. Thank you, Sam Fergenti and the Fergenti family, for being inducted into the Hall of Fame 2 months into my appointment, because that really helped with some alumni reach out. We were able to do a tailgate for her and her family. We had alum come and support her, so I got to meet some people face to face. We just sent out some stuff for our 90 wide program. We're really trying to do, a little bit more with that 90 wide program, and we're getting some really solid feedback in some buy-in from our alumni there. So the alumni support piece is it's everything. And I think for us, obviously there is the financial support, and being able to provide for our student athletes the true individualized experience we were talking about earlier, and wanting to make sure that we give them the dedication and the support and the focus that they deserve as high level student athletes. But then there's also the relationship piece. And I think, having that relationship piece with our alum means the world. And I think you go to a school like Holy Cross, because there's a lot of people who have gone to Holy Cross, who love Holy Cross, who are willing to do things for current students because their time as a student, again, help them get to where they want to go. There are times where I feel really guilty wearing Holy Cross when I go to the grocery store, because have yet to wear it and not be stopped by somebody who's been like, "Oh, what year did you graduate?" And I have to be like, "Didn't graduate. I'm just a coach." But if you'd like to talk to some current athletes, I'd love to be able to hook you up with some of our softball student athletes. So that relationship is really key, and any support they can give, whether that's financial, whether that is phone calls, whether that is letters, or whether that is working with our student athletes, anything is truly supported in what really differentiates our program from other softball programs in the country.
No need to worry, Coach. You're part of the Crusader family now. Wear that shield as much as you want. In fact, wear it every day, please.
I, you know,
You've got a great,
I,
yeah,
I
please.
I have some bragging rights now at the dinner table. So at the Thanksgiving table, was able to, look at my brother and say, see, I did get into Holy Cross. Doesn't matter how I got there, but I eventually found a way to get in there. So, again, it's a symbol. I agree with you. And all kidding aside, Holy Cross it's a brand, but I think there's a real emotional attachment to it, to those who have experienced it, regardless of how you've experienced it. There is a really positive attachment to it. And to be a part of that is a very humbling experience. It's a lucky, I feel lucky. I feel proud to be a part of it. But there's also a pressure to, you need to build on it, right? That this is a really proud institution and a proud brand. And if you're going to wear the shield, like you said, then you've got to add to this, to this legacy. Certainly, our job is to add to the legacy through our softball program and what we want for our softball student athletes. But there is something attached to it, that it means something, and you've got to take that with pride and know you've said yes to a project, and there's expectations, and there should be.
And it certainly carries through families. Dan Curran, our football coach, said the same thing when he arrived. His family so badly wanted him to go to Holy Cross. And he says he can look to the heavens to his parents and say, Mom and Dad, I'm now a Crusader. I did want to ask you about the popularity of softball now. I feel like over the last decade, we've seen more national TV exposure than ever before. The sport is growing at the college level. It's growing with professional opportunities for young athletes. How have you seen that benefit players here at the D1 level most? And how can that benefit Holy Cross?
Yeah, I think first of all, I think that it's what the sport deserves. I think it's what female athletics deserves. I think that that platform of seeing some of the inconsistencies and inequalities between, male athletics and female athletics, and wanting to bridge that gap, is what is needed and what is necessary, and I think what is right. We want our female student athletes, to feel proud, right? And to feel, again, to feel supported. So I think the growth of softball, has been really special to watch. I've kind of been, again, I use the word lucky a lot, and I believe it. I've been kind of lucky where I've gotten in, 12 years ago, and I was right before the kind of the boom, if you will, in the sense of this popularity piece, and the continued growth and the pickup from ESPN, and that type of stuff. So I think where it helps is it helps grow the game. I think it helps expose the game to younger athletes. And I think it helps the recruiting piece. There's more people playing softball. There's more softball opportunities. Um, I was just having a conversation with Rayanne, who's someone who's new to our advancement team, and she was saying, yeah, when I was growing up, there were two travel teams in my town, and if you didn't play on one of those teams, you didn't play travel. That's not a thing anymore. And sure, there's a little bit of saturation with that when there's 8,000, 80 teams in one area. But the positive side of it is that there's more opportunity. And with more opportunity comes more love of the game. And with more love of the game comes more athletes. And with more athletes, comes the more opportunity to recruit. So I think that truly helps it. In terms of how it specifically helps Holy Cross and Holy Cross softball, again, you're going to have a little bit more of a talented pool to be able to pull from. But I think it also bridges Holy Cross around the country, right? And that, again, Holy Cross brand extends throughout all 50, all 50 states, but maybe that helps an even more intentional conversation, because I can sit at a table in Seattle, Washington, and we can talk about softball, and that helps bridge that gap of Holy Cross, Seattle, Washington, all aligned, with the sport of softball, right? So I think that's how it continues to help the brand. Is it only is going to help strengthen the understanding of what we do and how we do it here in Worcester, across the country, even if that means that conversation is started with softball.
This has been great. We're getting a big picture vision of how you're building the foundation for Holy Cross softball. But before we let you go, I've got to ask, what's the John Ladino style of play that we're going to see on the diamond?
Competitive. Competitive is going to be the first word. We got to compete. I'm a very competitive person. I told you I have two siblings. I'm the youngest. I spent a lot of time losing to my older brother, but you got to find ways to win. You know what I mean? You go out there, like I said, you're shooting hoops in the driveway. He's 6 inches taller, 80 pounds heavier, and you just find a way to win. So I think the competitive piece is really important. I love the fast pace of the sport. You know, I love running. I love bunting. I love putting pressure on defenses. But to be honest, and this is going to be a very maybe cop out answer for you. I don't know. Yeah, I've seen the athletes in the fall. We've had some fall games. I've seen them play, but I think the mark of a good coach is being able to take your roster and maximize what your roster gives you, and maximizing what they do well to be successful. Certainly, we're going to run bases hard, right? That's not a skill. That's just something that we're going to preach. We're going to play hard. We're going to look for the next play. We're going to force defenses, to make plays and make throws. But the mark of kind of how we want to approach it outside of the competitiveness and outside of the playing hard piece is going to be, you know, as we continue to learn our athletes, what are they good at? What are they bringing to the table? What are the things that they can do really well? And then how can we make sure that we maximize what they do well for the success of our program? So it's a little bit of a cop-out answer, Kevin. Halfway through the year, we can re-engage in this conversation. I'll be a little bit more direct. But for me, it's going to be about continuing to learn them, and let's make sure we put them in the best position to be successful.
I love it. We can't wait to see that compete level on freshman field again this spring. John Ladino, thank you so much for joining us. This has been great. Congratulations again on this incredible opportunity, and happy holidays to your family. Welcome home again here at Holy Cross.
Thank you, Kevin. I'm going to say with the ticket promo, it's going to be a Holy Cross Christmas in the Ladino household. We got tickets for sale. There's discounted tickets. I don't know why it's not a Holy Cross Christmas. So, but thank you very much for the time. I appreciate it. Any exposure we can have for our student athletes, we're going to take. So thank you for what you do for our athletic department. Could not have a better voice for Holy Cross, that's for sure. So thank you for having me and what you do.
Thank you, Coach. I appreciate it. And I'm glad to see that those stockings will be filled with purple over at the Ladino house this year. And my thanks to everyone for tuning in. We'll be back soon with another episode of Satyr Stories. Until then, we ask that you tell your fellow Crusaders about Satyr Stories. It's available anytime on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SoundCloud. That's it for now. I'm Kevin Gale. Happy holidays, everybody. Go Cross Go.